VRM BioLogik is creating a low-cost, scalable agriculture system that reverses topsoil damage. It significantly increases profits, also yields, and the quality of farmers' lives. And with me are Kellie Walters, the CEO of VRM BioLogik, and also Ken Bellamy, the founder and president of the company. So let's talk about this. I told you I grew up on a farm, so I'm kind of in familiar territory here. Tell me a little bit about the company. What is it you're doing exactly?
VRM BioLogik was founded about 30 years ago by Ken on the basis of a lot of his discoveries around solutions for intractable environmental problems that really plagued humanity as we knew it. Ken moved through a number of processes and came to the conclusion that protein into the future was going to be the biggest challenge, feeding future populations, and out of that, soil quality. We needed good quality soil in order to grow that protein.
Yeah. So Ken, explain the problem. So what's happening with topsoil now? Why does there need to be a solution to this?
It's just a simple numbers game. There's more and more people, and there's less and less acres of topsoil. Less and less acres of arable land. It washes off, it blows away, regardless of really good systems that have been developed for maintaining. It's still declining. And essentially, when you grow something, you extract something out of the soil. To the extent that you don't replace that, the soil declines. Soil carbon levels, which is the humus levels, the fertility levels in US soils have declined markedly over the last 50 or 60 years. Mm-hmm. That's not because people are farming badly, it's because that's just a natural system that needs help. When we started the company, what we looked at was how that system got there in the first place, how that topsoil was there in the first place, and we examined the systems that make it grow. Without our help, it grows by itself. If you stop farming, it'll grow back eventually. Yeah. It just takes a long time. Yeah. So how do we speed that button up? And really the only way to do that was to make friends with another kingdom on the earth that had not been noticed. Another type of photosynthesis that had not been focused on. A totally different growing system that grows below the ground instead of above the ground. That's the essence of what we did. We made a discovery. We discovered some things that they do. Here's a fantastic thing that kingdom does. Yeah. It takes hydrogen, it takes oxygen, it uses sunlight that you don't see, so the non-visible light, bonds them together and makes water in the soil free for you. Oh.
So this is discovery. Underneath the topsoil. You've discovered this kind of organic system that makes. So you were explaining that you're able to recreate the topsoil on location.
Yes.
So now I guess it would be done somewhere else and shipped there, if it's even done at all?
It's not really done at all.
Okay. I was going to say, I know there's different farming methods that protect topsoil, but so explain how that works.
Well, our method really stimulates the natural processes that exist. Okay. So we're not taking something from somewhere else and applying it to the soil and doing that constantly. What we're doing is building the natural resilience in the soil. Mm-hmm. And you've reached a partnership with Sustainable Green Team. So explain that. Partnership, what's the structure of it, and how does that benefit the company?
Well, you know, it sounds easy to improve topsoil, but there's a lot of acres. You need a lot of work, you need a lot of material to get that done. So you need a partnership with somebody who has access to the material that gets that done. What we do is we take waste organic materials, things that are not used, end-of-line residues, and use those to catalyze the reaction that we just said. So we grow something on them, on the organics, and put it out in the field. Now, that sounds really easy in your backyard. When you've got a little area of grass or a little garden, it's pretty easy to do. But when you've got millions of acres, you need somebody with muscle. SGTM has stockpiles of reserves of material that can be used to develop those catalysts at scale. We're not going to address this problem just in our own homes. Right. We're going to have to do it globally. We're targeting 25% of the world's topsoil improved or restored in 25 years. We're well on the way to that, by the way. We've got lots and lots underway. But here in the US, there's no way we could have done that without having some kind of muscle behind us.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because you mentioned you thought protein and food was going to be a problem in the future, and this is why you've created this. I mean, how big of a problem is this because of our growing population? Is climate change playing a role in this as well? Like, why should we be concerned about that?
We actually came to the US in mid-2017 and really put our toe in the water to see what the market was like in the US. Our efforts were stopped by COVID. So I think COVID has really demonstrated to all of us just exactly what kind of impact can be made on the availability of food, not just through supply chain issues, but also through being able to manage appropriately soil. The US has 330 million mouths to feed. How are we going to do that? We need to really look at what kind of processes we can implement in order to assist that.
Yeah.
And yes, the number one issue facing all of us right now is that the climate is messing with agriculture. All of the southwest of the United States is facing a drought. It could be the worst on record, that drought. The other parts of the world have been through that, Europe, the Middle East, Australia, 10 years of drought, that impacts on your soil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what makes your product different than some of the other things on the market? Is there even anything like what you guys are doing that's out there?
Well, I hope there is, because we'd like to, join hands with as many people as we can. Right now, I don't think there's anybody else that can say that we can grow your own water in place in your soil. That's a third source of water. That's not rainfall, that's not well water or irrigation, that's water that grows by itself in the soil. I think that makes it unique, the ability to do that using waste materials without creating a carbon emission while you're doing it. So the process itself to convert those organics to that catalyst doesn't create a wholesale loss of material. So those two things make it unique.
What about scaling that process? How difficult is that?
Millions of tons, no problem. Millions of acres, no problem.
Okay, so it's easily scalable.
The reason for that, it doesn't need to be centralized.
Okay.
Can be done anywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere where there's a pile of organic material that's going to waste,
Yeah.
can be done there.
Is there like an application that you put on the soil that activates this natural process? Is that, I'm trying to envision what
Yes.
it's like.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are some processes that we have that are patented, but ultimately it's a catalyst that's applied to these organic residues that are available, and from there there's an incubation of activity that generates humus, which is what helps to grow the soil.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And are there different parts of the world that are better for this? Like, Midwestern farmland here in the US or Australia, or even, Europe? Where they grow?
That's a very good question. Actually, it works best in the worst soil.
Ah.
So in the better soils, the soil's already healthy, it's already activating quite well. But in the marginal areas, in the areas that are not so good, the sandy intrusion in Indiana, in the southwest, you have some soils that are a little bit touchy. In those areas, it works the best.
Oh, that's actually quite fascinating, because in those areas probably in more need of food and wouldn't have been so dependent on the supply chains.
Absolutely.
Right, yes.
So I guess just from a macro perspective, how can this technology help with climate change, feeding the world? What is the big picture here, would you say? And when do you think it will be used? Like we'll actually see it in application?
We're already in scale in numerous countries.
Okay.
The US is, we were stopped, as Kellie said, during COVID, but the US is now a major, application area for us. So the key is, do people understand that this is something that hasn't been done before? Do they understand that there is another mechanism to make friends with? I guess a few thousand years ago, we made friends with sheep. We made friends with cows. We made friends with plants.
Yeah.
But we haven't yet made friends with the guys that make water. We're making friends now with that kingdom.
Yeah.
So as that message comes, more and more people will make friends with that group. We supply a mechanism to interface with that kingdom. Just a mechanism, just like your whistle and your patting your puppy at home. That's your way of making friends. We've found another way to make friends with that kingdom.
And finally, are your customers the farmers, or are they like the companies like the Monsantos or whatever the world that deal with farmers and sell them products? Who would your customers be?
At all levels. First customer is the government. First customer is the person responsible for feeding that country. The second level is who implements that for the country. So that could be the big company or it could be the small farmer. Anyway, one client that's first off the rank is the home gardener. Lots and lots of cities are built on nicely fertile land. Lots of people are interested now in learning how to grow food at home.
Okay, well, thank you. Fascinating technology. Thank you so much, Ken and Kellie, for coming in.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.